Kayfabe on Mongo.
I'm Emily.
And today we're talking about whatever,
Yeah, whatever.
whoever. What does he weigh?
Whatever.
That's right. So we're talking about freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. So today we decided we wanted to talk about an episode, and today we're talking about Orange Cassidy from chill to champion.
One of our favorite champions. I think that he, for a lot of reasons, put the, what is it called now? The Unified title?
Now it's the Unified title. Stupid name, by the way.
Yes. But he put that title on the map when it was the
National.
International.
I know it started as the All Atlantic, and then it went to the International. Now it's the Unified, and I'm sure eventually it'll change. But what doesn't change is essentially our admiration of Orange Cassidy. I mean, his style goes from lazy to energetic, and he makes everything look so easy and so lazy, but so cool at the same time. So he gets a lot of unfair criticisms, but I've always wanted to know, how can someone get so over doing less? And he really proved that.
Yeah. I mean, he's been wrestling since 2004.
It's crazy to think that 21 years he's been in the business. And when we were doing research for this episode, one of the cool things I found out, he's a freaking architect in real life. So like all these little drawings like you see in our background, or his Titantron, the laziest stick figure drawings, the dude probably can draw for real. So literally, so I want to point out all the people who say he can't draw, like Jim Cornette, he can. Oh, come on, I had to put that one in there. I had to put that one in there. But I mean, one of the original titles I had for this episode was from meme to main event, because honestly I don't think he got his flowers, and I wanted to give him his flowers this episode.
It's really disheartening to hear the criticisms given to somebody that is truly changing how wrestling is done and seen. I think that Orange Cassidy has developed this different style, different technique that's eye catching, and again, like, I didn't know what comedy wrestling was before AEW. I didn't understand what a comedy wrestler was through WWE. They didn't do the same
They didn't
things.
do the same approach, yes.
Yes. So, like, coming into AEW in 2019 and seeing the things that were being done in the ring, obviously, I've gone back through, I've watched other matches of Orange Cassidy, and I'm excited to talk about some of those.
No, and I mean, we didn't get to see his indie run, but we're going to start there because that's really where he developed his personality, his gimmick, his
We
style.
didn't see
and
it live. I just
and
want to point that out. We have gone back through and watched so much of it, just like you guys should too. There's so much to see and so much to really gravitate to. And to really truly understand the sloth style, you have to go back through and really travel.
and what I enjoy is you'll see him with another renowned comedy wrestler like Colt Cabana, doing like the world's slowest chops. He's going like a mile an hour and just lazy chops, and then you have serious wrestlers and he's doing it and they're like, what is going on? You have one point where someone puts him to sleep and is rocking him like a baby, and
That was
you
epic.
have him and Priscilla Kelly swapping outfits where he comes out dressed up in her like goth style, and then you have her dressing up essentially in the, what do you call that, like the jean jacket Canadian tuxedo. I don't know what name we're having for that here.
The Canadian tuxedo works despite him not being Canadian.
No, he was actually born in the Jersey Philly area. I don't remember exactly which one, but from
As
Jersey.
many wrestlers are.
The Northeast definitely pumps out a lot of talented wrestlers, and from when he first started, like you said, back in 2004, he started working in Chikara as the Fire Ant, which was allegedly him, and he was known for like the high flying, fun aspects. And it's funny going back, knowing how he wrestles today and seeing him as the Fire Ant. They're almost two different styles of ring work.
He found himself truly over the years. And let's talk about the Fire Ant.
What do you want to talk about? Cody Rhodes. Get it?
I mean, you have such diverse training behind him.
You mean Mike Quackenbush, who's one of the legends of the industry, training him, and
Chris Hero.
Chris Hero, who, if you don't know who Chris Hero is, he's a legend of Ring of Honor. Had a cup of coffee in NXT as Cassius Ono for a while, but he really was instrumental in getting people ready in Ring of Honor, getting kind of them TV ready, now helping them develop their gimmicks. So I think he really helped out with Orange Cassidy, kind of developing the skills, and he would kind of grow and go into Beyond Wrestling and GCW and PWG, which PWG was kind of where he really discovered himself.
Yes, and let's not forget Skade and Brian Wenzel also helped train Orange Cassidy. And now he trains other people since 2013.
And he really does get it. If you go back and watch some of his earlier documentaries before he's in AEW, there's a lot of good mini, like 15, 20-minute documents where he's explaining his character where if he wanted to try something and he just does it. So like if he thinks something's funny, he'll do it on the moment. Like he doesn't pre-plan, all right, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to slap him real lazy and then I'm going to smile at him. He feels the crowd, he feels the moment. And a lot of wrestlers say the same thing over the years. I didn't get it until I got in the ring with him, or I didn't get it until I watched his match. And that's kind of the theme of this whole episode is people start to get it. It starts to click. Once you understand what he's doing in the ring, it makes sense. And I think that's why he's connected with the audience in such a way, is because it's almost like that light bulb. Like once you get it, you're like, oh, this is good shit. This is great stuff.
And it clearly caught on like fire.
It really did, because he got noticed by Nick and Matt Jackson. You know, obviously from his work in PWG, they were adamant to get him AEW before AEW was even a thing. There was interviews where they were talking about post All In. They really like that Orange Cassidy guy. And one of the things I enjoy is doing a deep dive in this. Cody Rhodes has an interview where he talks about he wasn't really sold on Orange Cassidy. And that when Matt and Nick came up to him and they're like, hey, we have this guy. He puts his hands in his pockets. He does these lazy kicks. He was like, okay, but make sure you're behind him. I don't get it. But Cody then says, once he saw him at Double or Nothing 2019, once he saw the reaction, he started to get it. And I like that he had a doubter every step of the way, and he proved them wrong every time.
Yeah, I mean, he went on to face Cody in the first ever Lumberjack match. But before that,
Right.
I'm getting way too far ahead.
And that's okay, because we're going to start with Double or Nothing, because that's when myself, Emily, and most of the world got to see who Orange Cassidy was.
But I do want to point out, before he was in AEW, he was two-time independent wrestling champion for IWTV.
Same as Warhorse. That's a pretty prestigious
IWTV. When you look at IWTV, they don't just pick anybody. I'll put it that way. Chris Statlander's also one. So it's one of those titles that it's big and it means something when they get that.
It's kind of like the television title for independent wrestling, which is nice. It's their streaming service, and they put it on people who kind of are connecting with the crowd and really can bring eyes to the products where they go, whether it's Beyond, whether it's Shikara, whether it's Limitless, whether it's any of these independent organizations. And again, that's how he kind of got his name out there. And, you know, he wasn't officially signed at Double or Nothing 2019, but they kind of brought him in the Battle Royals. That was like a big audition for a lot of the wrestlers that would become either AEW eventually in the future, or it would be wrestlers who would get more, I'm trying to think of the word here, exposure later on. So you have Double or Nothing 2019. You have the Battle Royal. My favorite moment, Tommy Dreamer sees him, doesn't know what to think. Now you have Tommy Dreamer, who's the hardcore ECW legend, who has been wrestling in bingo halls and arenas and around the world in some of the most crazy hardcore matches. And then he has this guy come up to him with a jean jacket on jeans, and he starts doing his little lazy kicks, and he has no idea what to think. And then he pushes him down, and he kips up with his hands in his pockets. And just from that short little interaction, the crowd absolutely lost their mind, just like we did. I remember going, what the hell is this guy? I like this.
And knowing how hard it is to do a standard
Kip up,
to imagine doing
with his
that
hands in his pockets.
Hands, that's a lot of what your force is. So
it's all core strength, yeah.
Exactly. Like his core muscles, everything about him is completely not lazy.
And that's the thing. His gimmick is lazy sloth style, but he works hard to make it look lazy, but it takes more strength to do it. Like you said, your core strength, when you do a kip up, I mean, I'm not certainly in shape to do a kip up, but you kind of start, you have to use your hands at the beginning, almost like a back handspring to push yourself up. And then you kind of transition with just your hands. So he went further. Instead of not having his hands here, he put them in his pocket. So
You're adding more weight.
He's relying on his entire core and leg muscles to jump up. And he does it flawlessly. Always that little smirk. And it's just,
with the glasses.
It's what sold me on him, was just how fluid he was in the ring, how fun he was. And I was disappointed because we didn't hear anything about him after, but then he would go on the indies, and as you would mention, WrestleCon 2019 during WrestleMania weekend, there would be a major, major team up that would kind of shape the foundation of wrestling.
Yeah. The best friends would join together in 2019 at WrestleCon in New York City against SCU.
Which is fantastic because again, it's kind of like another way. I know it takes place a little before Double Nothing, but it was kind of a way they were kind of testing what they had. But you have Chucky T and Trent, who are PWG legends, you know, teaming up with this newcomer, not knowing they were going to create, not newcomer, but create magic together.
They'd worked together offensively for years, so they have definitely traveled the rounds of the independents together. So to finally team up, I'm sure that it was like transcending.
And especially where Trent, having his stint in NXT not go the way he wanted, getting back to the independents, going with Chucky T, having that friendship, having that trust in each other, and then to bring in this kind of comedy gimmick. But what's great is they were about comedy too. They were about the fun and the timing. So it just seemed to work. And Tony Khan recognized that because in All Out 2019, we would have the official All Elite debut of Orange Cassidy as a sign talent. As the lights would go out, he would show up, and then we would forget our first "got to give them what they want" hug. And as they say to be cliche, the rest is history because that was really the start of, okay, he's here. Let's see what Orange Cassidy can do. And that first year, he really proved a lot of people wrong.
He did, and I think that first 1 to 2 years of television for Orange Cassidy, people just loved to hate him, and it was, I think, a future feud would really develop his love with the fans.
And you're not wrong because they would have their first match on at Halloween. He would dress up like Rick and Morty. So all three of the best friends be Rick and Morty. The crowd absolutely love it. He comes out just absolutely not caring. The crowd lose their mind, but then he'd start to be embroiled with what you just said, Pac. The bastard had his sights set on Orange Cassidy. Now, I never understood this at first because Pac just coming off a win over Kenny Omega is now going after Orange Cassidy. But the way he said he was insulted by him, it was kind of nice. He was like the voice of the internet at the time where, look at you, you lazy piece of crap, put your hands in your pockets and not trying. And I'll never forget that promo with the best friends in the ring when he finally challenged Pac and they said, you know what? He's going to try. And the entire crowd at that Dynamite chanting, he will try. He will try. And that really stuck with me. I mean, sure, if you've listened to our episodes at any length, we always reference that he's going to try or he will try because that was kind of like the little motivating, like almost like putting the towel on his shoulders, like, go in there, kid, you got this. Like, it was just such a good moment. And I think that started connecting the audience. And that really started to draw you in because now you were curious. Can this guy who's kind of a goof, who basically says he wrestles lazy because he wants to conserve energy. And my favorite part of 2019, every time they opened the door, you'd have random Orange Cassidy sightings. They'd open the locker room, he'd be sleeping on the floor. They'd open the bathroom, he'd be in the stall leaning against the wall. Like, he would just become like a background character in the most random places. Now you're telling me this guy's got to go against Pac, who's one of the best fighters in the world?
Yeah, and the cruise kicked off early 2020 where we saw our friend Jamal start Orange Cassidy cosplaying.
He is the OGOC. And he kept the gimmick. I found that dude sleeping in windows. Jamal would be sleeping in the windowsill. And for those who don't know, it's like a big bench that you can sit on to look out the window. But he'd just be chilling, laying down. You know what? He goes, and I've asked him, hey, were you sleeping? He goes, you'll never know. It's part of the gimmick. Because whether he took a nap for 5 minutes before he went to line or whether he was just selling the gimmick, we'll never know.
And I think that the fact that you had people starting to dress as him, to cosplay him early 2020,
like January 2020,
kind of says everything about him.
I mean, our kiddo wanted to dress as him because he was so enamored by him.
Like, our child was dressed as him and Darby Allin. And again, that speaks volumes to early AEW.
It really does. And the fan push was behind him. And what I really like is, as we got off the cruise, we started heading towards Revolution, everyone's talking about Jericho versus Moxley for that title match. Everyone's talking about Jericho, Moxley, or Hangman, but nobody was really talking about Pac and Orange Cassidy. And I remember being so excited because I didn't know what was going to happen. And then we got to the Pac match, and it just blew my expectations out of the water because he starts off with his, usual lazy sloth style. But then as the match kind of progressed, he kind of got pissed off and would start all of a sudden going 100 miles an hour. He would starts, Superman punching, orange punching him, excuse me. He would start actually trying, and the crowd was eating it up. And then my favorite spot the entire time that really showed off his comedy, Pac went to go give him a black arrow, and he just starts rolling around the ring, and then Pac jumps in the ring, and he rolls to the other side, and he goes out of the ring, and then he rolls to the other side again, and then he rolls over, and Pac catches him, and he's just got this big shit-eating grin on his face, like, hi. And Pac is so pissed. And
the disrespect that man felt.
and what I like is JR says something right in that match. He goes, I get it now. And I think after that match, and after how physical it was, and how Orange Cassidy showed he could work, and how fluid he was in the ring, you had JR, who early 2019 JR was not very kind to wrestlers. He didn't really do his research. He didn't really understand it because, again, he was coming from New Japan where it was more serious work rate. So he didn't really understand Orange Cassidy. But when he said, I get it now, and he kind of started explaining that he saves his energy for the big moments, and that he's just trying to piss them off. And you start to understand what Sloth style is. Those little kicks, he knows they're not effective. He knows it's just getting in your head, that's just pissing you off. And that when you snap, you're going to make a mistake. And he goes, oh, going to capitalize. And the intelligence started to show. And really, I think that's what opened everyone's eyes to, okay, he's a good wrestler. He could be something.
Yeah, that Pac feud, like, shockingly elevated Orange Cassidy, and they wouldn't end there.
No, they would. I mean, they'd carry their feud for a couple years. Like, and credit to Pac, because one thing I like about Orange Cassidy feuds is when he starts feuding with someone, he loses, and it's that typical hero comeback story. Pac didn't just go out and squash him. They didn't book it as, okay, Pac went out there, beat the ever living piss out of him, and got the win. He actually worked with him and made the match organic, and the crowd towards the end chanting, he is trying, like, that just made me pop more. And just to see how far he would go and how he came this close, so many near falls, and then at the end, the best friends coming out to kind of comfort him, to show that they had his back his entire time. And I really enjoyed seeing that. But what we're going to talk about coming up next is what Emily will always remember is the summer of 2020.
Yes.
So the summer of 2020 is Emily's favorite moment because why? Why is this your favorite moment?
Mimosa Mayhem.
Well, why would they have Mimosa Mayhem? That doesn't make any sense.
If you come by my work, people will ask what Mimosa Mayhem is, and I'm like, oh, that's just what we call the beverages.
So you would have Jericho wanting to start a feud with Orange Cassidy because he didn't get it. He says in his podcast, he's lazy, he's stupid, I don't get it. And then he wanted to work with him to see the hype. And pandemic era wrestling, I'll say it out here, AEW kept me glued to my television because they produce some of the best content in 2020. There's a lot of people who, if you're new to AEW, go check out the archives, check out 2020 Dynamites, check out the pay-per-views, because they put on a lot of good quality wrestling and good storytelling, even with the absence of crowds. And that, again, is a testament to Orange Cassidy, Chris Jericho, and all the workers in AEW, because you had Orange Cassidy step up to Jericho, and they would start a trilogy that would end in your mayhem.
I need to point out the fact that if it was not for the guns during the pandemic, we would not have had crowd noise.
Absolutely. Austin and Colton Gunn being like the MVPs of shooting and hollering and whatever. I don't know why I'm saying shooting.
Billy, all of them. The Guns in general.
Pineapple Pete.
They were the ones that came up with the idea to have shakers out there to get the crowd noise going.
And then they would start allowing limited people in.
Pineapple Pete. I forgot about Pineapple
How can you forget about Pineapple Pete? Pandemic was goated, man. But what I really enjoyed about this was, it really started out with Fyter Fest, which was, like almost like a television event / pay-per-view, but it was free. Jericho would get the upper hand, then they would have another match afterwards, and Jericho would still kind of get the upper hand, but then Cassidy started playing mind games, and one of my all-time favorite segments, the debate. You have Chris Jericho coming out to debate Orange Cassidy to make a fool of him with Eric Bischoff moderating, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Orange Cassidy decides to talk about global warming and delivers some of the best speech about global warming and how to reduce waste in our current climate, and Jericho just going the entire time. But that's not the best moment of 2020. That's not the best moment of the feud. The best moment of the feud is something she always talks about. It's something that I think on every episode you've brought out is the inner circle in the ring bragging about how Jericho is going to beat the hell out of Orange Cassidy at All Out.
Who wears a $7,000 jacket into the ring?
And Orange Cassidy would come out in the crowd as they're bad mouthing him, and he would just simply give a thumbs up, and then a bunch of orange juice would come down. And Ortiz, we say it every time to this day, that man sold that shit like a fish. He was flipping and flopping. He would stand up and he'd fall down.
I was still laughing about it the next day at work.
Next day, you up on every day.
I really do. To the point where, like, my coworkers were like, Emily, what is so funny? And I'm like, I have to show you this. Like, this happened, and I just need to show you because I can't stop laughing. And my coworkers, like, bless you guys at Farmer's Kitchen. You put up with my wrestling antics for, like, 2 years. I'm so sorry.
And
no,
but because of how entertaining it was, I mean, I've gone back and seen that moment countless times. Just
you'll send me
just,
every time it pops up on your TikTok.
I have to. I have to.
I love it.
It's Mungo, by the way, and at @CruiseWithKayfabe_Emily. Make sure you follow us on TikTok. Speaking of that, cheap plug. But I just love that. Then after Jericho's covered in the orange juice, he picks up a towel and he's wiping his towel, and it's an Orange Cassidy towel.
They're like, "Wait, put it down, put it down." The
and
inner circle's like, "Put it down, put it down."
And it was just great because then it sets up. Jericho has a little bit of the bubbly champagne that had come out. So he was like, I'm all about the bubbly, and you're all about the orange juice. So we're going to do a Mimosa Mayhem match. And I will never forget, you turned to me on the couch and was like, what the hell is a Mimosa Mayhem match? I'm like, we're going to have to watch and find out, aren't we?
And so we did.
Which
and
we still need that as a playset, by the way.
Yeah. Jeremy, there's a lot you got to do here.
Don't take 10 years to do it either, but... But it was great because you'd see the ring set up, and as Johnny Cadillac, the lucky SOB, got to see in person, they would set up the ring. They would put 2 pools on each side filled with mimosas, and Jericho and Orange Cassidy would battle a fun match. And a lot of teases. Yeah. A lot of like, whoa, going in. And then just the Superman punch into the juice. And then Jericho just like swimming and floundering in the orange juice after. It was just... It really elevated Orange Cassidy, by my opinion, because Jericho kind of gave him the rub. He kind of gave him the, all right, I'm going to let you win the blow-off match and let you win the feud. And again, so now you have Pac saying, you got this, and you showed that feud. You have his TV matches where he's starting to go momentum, and then this made him a crowd favorite because Jericho would still, for 4 or 5 years afterwards, remind us about that $7,000 jacket.
I'm just waiting for it to come up again, honestly.
Maybe when he comes back, maybe he'll remind, I never got the money for this $7,000, and it's still stained all orange.
That needs to be
peak.
in the AEW Hall of Fame.
I think it was. I think when they did the like, what do you call it? Like the fan fest?
Fan fest more often. They had all the different little props and everything like that.
And I really think that too, it gave us entertainment in a time where we really needed entertainment. Because you got to remember the summer of the pandemic, we didn't know how long we were going to be in lockdown or without fans, and to deliver that trilogy in the summer, I mean, shout out to AEW for not only doing Stadium Stampede at their Double or Nothing 2020, to doing that epic ladder match with Orange Cassidy, which...
And they had just started to bring a sprinkling of fans back.
So, like, you'd have, like, a handful of fans here and there.
And they had, like, pods.
And you had all these fun moments and all these fun, like, internet moments. And if you go back and look on YouTube, Orange Cassidy has some of the highest rated views in AEW history on all his segments and matches. He was even beating CM Punk for the longest time. I think he still is in some of the videos. Like, that's how much fans connected with Orange Cassidy.
AJ, did you hear that?
And
triggering.
He loves Orange Cassidy.
I'm just kidding.
And what I love is, you'd have goofy moments like in 2020, he'd go to the ladder match, he'd go up to Excalibur, and Excalibur's like, dude, I've told you the rules of this match like 3 freaking times. Tony's told you the rules. You need to figure it out. And he'd be like, so I just gotta go get the, like, he would purposely be obtuse and not understand. And then at one point he's just laying on the ladder because he doesn't know what to do. Like, it was great because you had R-Truth doing his thing in WWE, and I have Orange Cassidy doing his thing. Both are great workers. This is what we needed in wrestling because it always works when you have that character who can mix the comedy with the wrestling. It's entertaining, and that's really what kind of helped evolve him. And I would say that the next few months, as the best friends started to evolve, with a certain alien becoming a best friend, really started helping out.
Yeah, she wouldn't officially become a part of Best Friends until March 2021 at Arcade Anarchy.
Which, that feud was set up because after All Out 2020, you had Miro and Kip Sabian kind of going after Orange Cassidy, and the best friends kind of getting in a feud with essentially his best friend, Kip's best friend. And It would lead to Arcade Anarchy, our obviously one of my favorite matches. I still remember Orange Cassidy in the whack-a-mole where he's hitting Kip Sabian with the whack-a-mole hammer. Chris coming back out of the claw machine. It just the moments that kind of showed you who he was, where he will wrestle when he has to, but he's going to have fun with it. But that really think that's when it started turning. That March 2021, it really, really started to shift because now the best friends are really behind him and they're pushing him. He's not just the joke. He's an actual competitive member. So you have the best friends trying to seek tag title gold, and they're pushing Orange Cassidy to go to gold. And they did. And he would end up embroiled with Pac Man, but also the belt collector Kenny Omega at this time. And he would have a triple threat match at Double or Nothing 2021 that if you have not seen that match, what are you doing? Especially with every single pay-per-view being on Max now, what are you doing? Because that triple threat match, again, you had Pac and Cassidy who had their chemistry, but now you have Omega delivering V-trigger after V-trigger, Omega hitting them with Superman punches. They're all spamming their moves. They're all getting that crowd that's just starting to trickle back in wild. And the emotional storytelling of Orange Cassidy almost pinned the champion. Orange Cassidy almost won the title, and he was embroiled in that feud. And I think people started to realize, oh shit, this guy can go. And I think, again, so now you have a match with Jericho. You have a match with Pac. You have a match with Kenny Omega and Pac. He's not going against slouches. Miro. He's going against some of the top dogs in the company. And he's coming so close every single time. And he tries a little more every single time. Did you notice that?
I did. And can we talk about my favorite part of him being the international champion?
Well, when we get to that, we can.
Oh, just kidding.
That's coming up pretty soon, actually. Because, you after the Double or Nothing feud, he would start getting his first shot at gold again for singles gold besides that. Because Cody Rhodes would start doing his open challenges. And who answered his open challenge? Orange Cassidy. Fun fact, he actually answered the open challenge in October 2021. In November 2021 was when Darby won the TNT title. So Cody Rhodes not only helped elevate Orange Cassidy, he gave the title to Darby eventually. So again, Chris Jericho, Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, Pac are all giving him the rub and putting him over. And he's gone after the world title and the TNT title. I don't know if that's just someone who people want to call pockets at this point, because now he's showing he can be that competitive person. He can be in those big matches. But now we're going to get to your favorite moment because, 2022, he unfortunately there'd be a little bit of an injury and he would miss some time here and there, but he would come back towards the tail end of 2022 and things would start changing. An old familiar ally, Pac, had won the All-Atlantic Championship and he had been defending it. He had a great match with it, but an old rival popped its head out. You had Orange Cassidy, so you had the Death Triangle kind of ruling their side in 2022. You had Pac as the All-Atlantic Champion, the first All-Atlantic Champion, but Orange Cassidy not forgetting his old friend Pac, not forgetting all the losses he's taken to him, all the hammer shots he took from him. But
that was a really key component with Pac, is that
the timekeeper hammer. I swear, he tried to...
He pulled one out from under the ring after getting one taken away from him.
Didn't he have one in his trunks, too, at one point?
Yes, like, Bryce took one away, and then he went under the ring and pulled out a whole nother one.
And I just love that the best friends didn't let Pac screw him over in this match. So October 12th, Dynamite, it's a huge moment. I'm not going to lie, I didn't think he had a chance to win this title from Pac when it first happened. But then when he pulled the hammer out, that second hammer comes out, and Chuck and Trent come out, it was magic. It was absolute magic. Because they helped even the odds. And then he would hit a devastating Superman punch. Pac would sell like he got shot out of a cannon, would fall over, and he'd hit the three. And I just remember being so stunned. And the orange confetti, the image is always in my brain. The orange confetti, him holding up the All-Atlantic title, and that orange confetti just raining down over him, which would probably start one of the best title runs in AEW. And I'll put it out there, one of the best title reigns in AEW. Your favorite title run?
My favorite. I think this caused him to be the workhorse.
Now, put it this way. This reign would last 326 days with 20 title defenses. 326 days, 20 defenses. If you average that out, that's essentially either a Dynamite or a Rampage, because we didn't have Collision then, obviously. Every other week, at least one defense in one of those shows. He was opening up shows, and that's kind of...
That's more defenses than we saw any other title in wrestling being defended at that moment.
And what I liked about it is it kind of became consistent that when you tuned Dynamite, who was going to open the show? Orange Cassidy. And he would go on to have some of the best defenses against Roosh, against Shibata, Jalisco, Lance Archer, and then your favorite, the 21-man battle royal at Double or Nothing, where it came down to him and Swerve. And one of my favorite quotes from this match was Swerve saying, "This is one of the matches Tony started to trust me on, when that match with Orange Cassidy. You had, excuse me, I said 2021, I meant to say 2022. Three. That just was such a moment. And then you'd have the four-way at Forbidden Door with Zack Sabre Jr., Shibata, and Garcia. You'd have three of the best technical wrestlers in the world with Orange Cassidy. He showed up with all of them. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, Orange Cassidy at this point didn't have a bad title defense.
No.
Every title defense was more special, and he used it in his story when he fought Big Bill and he had to hit 3 Superman punches to take him down. When he had Shane Taylor and he had to take a bunch of Superman punches to help take him down. When he had his match against Adam Cole and Danhausen would appear to curse Adam Cole. And even though it wasn't a officially sanctioned match, he did everything. And he was doing hardcore matches. He was doing multi-man matches. He was doing singles matches. He was doing matches on post Dynamite and the belt specials. He was doing matches on Rampage. He was defending it, and he started to break down. And I love that this is where the "I'm so tired" Renee would come from. And he was busted up. His hands were taped up. He was bruised. He was battered. He was exhausted. And it really established this workhorse type of run, because you have the entire fall 2022 into fall 2023. So almost a full year of him defending this title. And then he would get to All Out versus Jon Moxley in September, and he's trying to keep that title, and he couldn't do it. He was just so tired. And Moxley had to beat him to a bloody pulp. But the one thing I'll always remember about this match, besides how awesome the match was, after he lost, he was laying there in a pool of his own blood. Moxley left the ring. He stood up. That entire crowd gave him a standing ovation. That entire crowd. And it wasn't a standing ovation just for the match. They were giving him an ovation for that title reign. And if you didn't see he was special during that title reign, then I don't know how else to convince you. But that title reign he had with the newly rebranded international title became some of the best wrestling. Apologize about our camera here. Some of the best wrestling that he did in AEW, and really proved himself to a new generation of fans who probably didn't know who he was before. And again, if you're newer to AEW, this is the stuff to go check out. Go check out his stuff in 2019, 2020. Go check out the international title run. And stay tuned to the episode, because we'll give you some matches we want you to check out. But there's not a bad match in that title run. And that was kind of like when you were a kid and you watched that workhorse take the Intercontinental title, like The Miz or Seth Rollins or Jericho, take that Intercontinental title and have banger after banger, or Sheamus have his good matches, or Gunther, or even more recently, having someone like Hangman start to have good matches, or MJF. You see these title runs, but you didn't expect Orange Cassidy to be that guy, to be the workhorse. And I really like that he stepped up after to Moxley, because Moxley was someone that was always and is still kind of the main existence. And before we kind of get to the next segment, this is kind of the evolution of his character and the feuds I mentioned earlier. So when he had his first match against Pac, he came up short. When he had his first match against Jericho, he came up short. He had his TNT title match against Kenny. He came up short. He came up short in the TNT title. He won the international, and then he held on to that thing. He kept it in his backpack because he knew how hard he had to work to get a title. And then he came up short against Moxley, and he would just constantly, like his character, every time he had a match, he would try harder next match. Because when they have the rematch, he would try harder, and he would put the pedal to the metal. And I don't think he gets enough credit for his gimmick matching his work rate, where he starts off kind of and then he just turns it into 100. He kicks it into high gear. And that's what his workhorse run really did. It showed that when he turns it on, he fucking turns it on.
Yeah, I think it's, again, important to really focus on the whole he will try.
Yes. And unfortunately, Moxley would get injured and get a concussion, and Rey Fenix would get the title for a little bit. And Orange Cassidy would get the title back from Rey Fenix. This one would only last about 145 days, but another 12 defenses. So let's put that into perspective. First reign was 326 days with 20 defenses. This one's 145 days with 12 defenses. 32 title defenses, which is the most in AEW history for any title. 32 combined. That is absolutely insane. And that's if that doesn't say workhorse to you, I don't know how else to define that word. And in this reign, it's no slouch either. Kyle Fletcher, current TNT champion. Zack Sabre Jr., again. Daniel Garcia, Lance Archer, Jalistico. He would have all these bangers. And then unfortunately, we had to see him lose the second title, Revolution 2024, against your favorite Roderick Strong, Messiah of the Backbreaker. And he kind of just quietly exited. There was no promo. There wasn't the "My name's Orange Cassidy, I don't have a catchphrase." He kind of just let that title be his thing. And what I really liked is the tail end of 2024. You no longer took Orange Cassidy as a joke. You no longer saw him as, oh, he's just a comedy guy. And it always made me mad when I'd see people online, oh, pockets. Oh, because at this point you have Zack Sabre Jr., Matt Hardy, Will Ospreay, all the biggest names in the business, Ric Flair, Sting, saying, I didn't get it at first, but I do. They all saw his title reign. Baron Corbin complimented his title reign. Bradshaw Layfield, people from around the industry were like, holy shit, this kid is good. So it really showed who he was, and I think really started to elevate him in the main event scene. And when Moxley won that title, he was one of the people out there after Bryan Danielson was, bagged and gagged and taken out.
Yes.
So it's really crazy to me to think that he went from someone who, it's a sloth style. And we're going to get into that soon after we kind of finish off this timeline here. But 2024, he'd really reinvent himself and get himself in that main event picture. And if it wasn't for injury recently, who knows where he'd be right now. But I mean, think about, he had that title match again with Moxley. He's still going after Moxley. So is that the next person he's going to finally overcome?
I think that it makes the most sense for that to happen. But also, I think that we see a feud coming back again.
Which feud's that?
Wheeler Yuta. So
get a haircut, Wheeler.
I think that maybe they'll have a hair versus hair match. We've seen have one of those before. So,
hopefully Yuta loses, because Orange, that's not fair. Orange just got cut. He doesn't have much hair. Orange Cassidy's hair is like Yuta's debut hair.
Yeah.
Yuta has like my hair now.
So do we want to run down the best friends before they are broken up? Because they...
I was going to say, yes, we're getting into the breaking up.
2024.
So, yeah, before we get to the end of 2024 now. So, how that bastard Trent, I'm shaking my head here, broke my heart and broke Orange's heart. After all they've been through with this title run and helping him get to where he's got to get.
So we had episode 5 of Dynamite, which was the Halloween episode.
Classic.
And then we had... him and Chris Statlander started teaming up in 2019 on the independent scene. So you saw
another one who dressed up like him.
Yes, you saw a lot of things going down with them, including 3 mixed tag matches, 2 on Dynamite and 1 on Rampage. So we have the Blade and the Bunny, we have Britt and Adam Cole, and we have Parker, Matt Menard, and Anna Jay with Wheeler Yuta.
What a wild combination.
One of the first times they teamed with Wheeler Yuta was...
Well, I mean...
Yeah.
Also, I have a question. Has Orange Cassidy really been involved with Harley Cameron yet?
No.
I think that needs to happen. That needs to happen. Because, unfortunately, in 2024, that son of a bitch, Trent...
Still not done.
Well, why are we going backwards?
Because you didn't let me talk. So, best friends would also pull in Rocky Romero... during Trent's absence in 2021. And then in 2021 at Beach Break, we see Danhausen come out to assist Orange Cassidy.
During the this match with Adam Cole, where he pulled him out of the ring. Adam Cole went to get a chair and pulled Danhausen from under the ring.
Yes. So although Best Friends gained a few members over the years, they ultimately were 5 members. The OGs, Chuck Taylor and Trent, with Orange Cassidy also joined by Wheeler Yuta and Chris Statlander.
And
the Best Friends were very, important as far as AEW is concerned for factions and for everything going forward. They had the matching tracksuits, they had the shirts, they had so much merch. I think they had like every holiday for merch for them. Best friends in general truly elevated the tag division, and it's a shame they never had tag titles.
I mean, they did have one of the best parking lot brawl matches, and I still love when Orange Cassidy popped out of the trunk and Superman punched Ortiz. That was pretty funny.
Like so many different memories to look back on for best friends, and it's a shame
So why did Trent
that
betray him then?
exactly Trent, fuck you. Just
And
kidding.
it's sad because Orange Cassidy would announce in 2024 that Chuck would have to retire due to injury after, and Trent would turn on Orange and then beat up Chuck to kind of retire him. So Chuck lost. I mean, so Orange Cassidy lost Chucky T. He lost Trent, but then in 2024, Statlander would go with friggin' Stokely in turn. So he lost all his friends. So
Wheeler Yuta was the first to turn in 2022.
jackass.
Blackpool Combat Club took him in.
And I get that because he proved himself. But yeah,
They
he
blended
lost he
together.
lost all his friends, and I think that's such a good crux of his storytelling because he went from the best friends pushed him and supported him to get him to fight Pac, to get him in the world title picture, the TNT title, to helped him in his title reign, supported him, cheered him, was there walking him out to the ring at Wembley, all the moments they were in, and just to turn your back on him. And then they had a great match, but I still say, well, hold on for questions. I still say it's not done. I still say the best friends aren't dead. But unfortunately, Orange Cassidy would finish out 2024 strong, but in the beginning of 2025, he would tear his pectoral muscle in March, and he's been on the shelf since. There are rumors he did have surgery already, so from what it says on the old Google machine, it's 6 to 9 months recovery, depending on rehabilitation. I don't want to speculate, but if everything goes well, we could see him potentially by the end of the year, which would be something. I do miss seeing him in the ring. I think he's severely underrated by a lot of people who don't watch regularly.
I can't believe his last match was full of power. We had Mark Davis, Mike Bailey, aka Speedball, and Ricochet.
And it was essentially for a shot at Kenny Omega and a shot at the belt. And he's that workhorse, and it's a freak injury. It's sad, but I'm glad that we can talk about him today because he is misunderstood and he has so many great matches. We could sit here for hours and list every match and every favorite, but I kind of want to go to the next segment where I want to kind of talk about his sloth style and what his strategy is and what his gimmick is evolving to and what we think maybe when he comes back, what it will be.
Yeah, so you guys gotta keep listening because we do have match recommendations.
So when it started out first, he's starting out by kind of piss you off with the sloth kicks, and he was never really lazy. He was precise. He was always kind of picking and choosing his moments, saving his energy. He didn't really talk. I mean, I think he's got like 3 promos total. He was there. But he became the most consistent performer because he will keep showing up. He will keep trying. He keeps elevating himself. And that's why I'm thinking his character has already kind of started to arc. It has already started to change. He went from, all right, there's a guy who doesn't say anything. He's going to do some kicks. He's going to lose to, all right, there's the guy. He does some funny stuff. One day he'll be champion to, there's the workhorse. Oh, he's also doing that awesome, funny stuff. He's proving himself to, could he be the main event title picture? There's plenty of things I could see him. So I want to ask you, Emily, when he comes back, do you think he's still going to be that kind of like lazy, chill guy now that turns it on when he needs to? Or do you think we're going to get some sort of evolution when he returns?
I don't want to see him change. I want to see the same old Orange Cassidy. Maybe we've always joked about the blood orange. Maybe he comes back a little more hardcore style. But I could see him definitely just coming back as Orange Cassidy. There's no need for change. The man is amazing.
And will say though, before he went out, know, he switched to black denim.
He did.
So was that symbolic, or is he just sick of wearing blue denim?
I don't know. I forgot about that actually.
He also went from freshly shaved, get what I did there, to having a little bit of stubble and goatee. Because if you look back at some of the early pictures, I'm like, oh, he looks like such a baby. But then it's like he grows his stubble, he grows his beard. You're like, oh, okay. He's kind of chiseled himself. He's kind of had his glow up too. And I think he's had a glow up in the ring. He's had a glow up personality-wise. And I don't think I've seen him off the boat in a live show on TV where he's not getting some of the loudest cheers and some of the loudest ovations. I mean, when either Where's My Mind or Jane hits, that place goes crazy every time.
Which also, fun fact is, he did not expect either song, let alone two of the biggest,
And they
most expensive.
and they change them up every time too. Like I swear, like just when you're thinking is where all of a sudden you have the Pixies and you have or now you have Jane hit and you're like, wait, what's going on? And it's almost kind of like, are they trolling him by just changing the song? Or are they trolling us? I've never quite understood.
I don't know. His pyro still gets
Oh, the
me.
little test pyro that the Bucks stole this past week on Dynamite. uh, so we're gonna switch gears here to some match recommendations for you that I think and Emily think you would enjoy. Kind of like, I don't want to say the definitive Orange Cassidy, but matches that we think have really shaped his career or shaped him as a wrestler. So I think my first one we talked about earlier, Pac versus Orange Cassidy, Revolution 2020.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one. I have Cody versus Orange in the first ever AEW Lumberjack match, October 2020.
That's a great match too. I enjoyed that because they don't do a lot of lumberjack matches in AEW.
They do not.
Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy, the entire trilogy, that summer 2020. I mean, you saw that, but then ending them, you have to see all three matches to kind of see how it crescendos. So I would say that because that was probably one of my favorite feuds.
All right. How about Arcade Anarchy?
Oh, how can you not love Arcade Anarchy? I mean, the gimmick of itself, a street fight with arcade machines and cabinets and a claw machine, whack a mole, the Legos. Like, it was just such an entertaining match. I agree. I have a good. I mean, obviously, I mentioned it earlier. Kenny Omega versus Pac versus Orange Cassidy, Double or Nothing 2021. A fantastic triple threat match.
Yes, I've got the mixed tag match of Bunny and Blade versus Chris and Orange.
That's a great match too, especially knowing how much Bunny and Orange had some history on the Indies, and when he put her little bunny ears on to do the kicks, I was dying. I'm like, he put on the ears. Here's a ramp. Here's one from Rampage Deep Dive: Orange Cassidy versus Shibata, Rampage 2022. Because a lot of people didn't really put respect on Shibata when he came in, but him and Orange Cassidy, they had a hell of a singles match.
They did. Fun fact: we had a hair versus hair match with Jack Evans and Orange Cassidy, and I'm assuming Jack Evans lost, but I really don't remember.
I mean, he has long hair, so I don't think he did. I think Orange Cassidy might have lost.
I don't know. I just happened to see a hair versus hair match, and I was intrigued. Maybe one we got to catch back up on.
I'm gonna say for Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay, the first Forbidden Door, probably one of my favorite matches when he does a superhero pose and then he's like laughing and giggling and then he's kicking Ospreay in the head and Ospreay's just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? 2022, really kind of a breakout match for him. I think it really showed if he can hang with Ospreay, he can hang with everyone.
He had a lights out match with Adam Cole in 2022.
Fantastic. That's the Danhausen one you're talking about. A lot of crazy spots in that one. Absolutely fantastic match. Also similar, Matt Taven and him had a great hardcore lights out match. I think it was around Valentine's Day. Texas Death Match. That was pretty underrated. A lot of people don't talk about that one, but that was pretty.
I have that one down as well.
What else you got?
I've got the 2023 Stadium Stampede with Best Friends, the BCC, and I believe Private Party.
Yes, the cookie tray. Oh my God, still pop when Sue comes out with the cookies.
When Sue comes out in the van. Everyone knows I'm a mark for Sue. Give me the van in the action figures. Like, guys, you're missing the mark at Jazzwares. Just let me work with you.
I will say another one: Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shibata versus Garcia, Forbidden Door 2023. Again, I loved Daniel Garcia. You can go back and listen to our predictions. We talked about how much we can't wait for that match. I think it delivered.
How many more lumberjack matches do you think he was in?
Wasn't he in two of them?
Two more.
Because Juice dressed up as a lumberjack in one of them.
Yes. So we have Matt Hardy and QT Marshall.
Yep. Because I remember Juice coming out, and that's like the only thing I remember from that match that like stuck with me the most is Juice is a fucking lumberjack, and it was awesome.
I remembered my favorite alien coming out as a lumberjack.
She did too.
My last one is a 2 versus 1 handicap match: Orange Cassidy versus the Outrunners.
That was a fun match, and that was pretty recent. That was a good recent one to throw on there. Recent, I would say Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy, Forbidden Door again. Forbidden Door, honestly, every Forbidden Door he hasn't had a bad match.
Maybe this is no too soon.
I think it might be too soon. Maybe an appearance. A couple other good ones, just kind of honorable mention. That Big Bill match, I think, is a great one to go look into because of how he kind of takes on someone who's a little bit bigger than him.
And
How he kind of, like Jack versus the Giant Slayer. No, not Jack Giant Slayer. Jack, you know what I'm talking about, but like David Goliath. There we go.
so Big Bill is actually very intricate in that 21-man match that he had.
I'm surprised you didn't name that as one of your ones to watch.
It is on there. It is. But we've already discussed that match pretty thoroughly, and hands down one of my absolute favorite title defense matches. I think that that elevated what Orange Cassidy could do and be taken seriously.
No, I think so too, especially since he could have lost his title any second. It was such a good, oh, I call
And
those
from
like the
the very start, they teased him going over the ropes. Chuck Taylor took a dodge for him. You've got Trent
yeah, they
taking
saved him.
one for
Yep.
him. Like both of them, Big Bill took out. So Big Bill came very close. I'm actually kind of shocked he never had a title run with that title after that.
I know Big Bill definitely had his number on Orange. He had his sights set on him. I think another fantastic match that doesn't get is the All Out 2023. Yes, he lost, but again, the standing ovation afterwards, the physicality, the build up to the match where he's like, "My name's Orange Cassidy. I don't have a catchphrase." Him standing up to Moxley, and then anything with him in the conglomeration was fun. Like watching him with Ishii last summer. I mean, I don't really think there's a lot of bad Orange Cassidy matches. Especially a singles match, he really knows how to work, and I think there's so many great ones. And one of the best things about AW on HBO Max is I found out that pretty recently, if you just type in Double or Nothing 2020 on the search bar, it comes up. So unlike Peacock, you don't got to know the friggin' seasons. You don't know to go. You can just actually search it in. So I really enjoyed the shift over to HBO Max because it's nice to have all the pay-per-views in one location so we can rewatch these. But that's pretty much what I had for matches. So I know I'm going to turn over to you before I get to some questions I have for you.
I just want to know, what is one of your favorite signature moves that he has?
Probably Beach Break just because it comes out of nowhere all the time.
Okay.
Or stupid as this sounds, the kicks, sloth kicks, just because him and Sting do it is like my favorite version when Sting's just.
I love when he does it to Britt.
Oh yeah, and she just kind of like, what is this?
What is going on?
But actual like moves that look fun. Slumdog Millionaire when he kind of flips over and does the stunner.
That's my absolute favorite because they come out of nowhere. It's a great counter. I think that move alone is instrumental to most of his matches. Also, one of my favorites is the Orange Squeeze or the Lazy 450.
Yeah, he does a little yeah. Also too, sometimes when he'll do like the elbow drop, he'll like come over and he'll just lay down and do the elbow drop. Or when he did the spinneroonie, he got on the ground and kind of just like sat. Like he's innovative, and I think that's what I enjoy is he's innovative with his moves. But now to kind of close out before we wrap up, I want to ask some questions not only to you but to everyone listening as well. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on all that jazz at Cruise on Kayfabe on all of our socials, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, My Face, Your Face, wherever. So for some closing questions, do you see Orange Cassidy as world champion material?
100%. Shocked he hasn't held it yet.
Okay. I agree. Did the international title line, do you think he could be a bigger champion because of that title run?
Yes, he elevated that title. He is the reason that title has so many defenses. And if it wasn't for Kenny and Okada, maybe they could have done something for Orange on that belt as well.
Do you think we're going to see a best friends reunion in 2026?
No.
I think we are. I think we'll see a best friends reunion next year.
I don't think it would be 2026. I think that maybe they're the ones to pull Yuta out of his own ass. But aside from that, we've got Trent, who's pretty much stuck at the moment with Don Callis, and they're all so far
Rocky.
apart. Yeah, like they're all just so far apart right now that to get the five of them back together, I think it's going to take a lot. But maybe Orange is that glue. Maybe he is the thing
that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking they come together to help him get his world title at some point. I think that maybe they realize that he's like the if you're a D&D player, he's the canonical good. He's that like positive good. And I apologize, I'm sure I butchered that, but he is the true good. He's not the neutral. I think he's the person who maybe he gets one, or he gets the unified title, gets another kind of run to add to that lineage, because it would be his third run because they have the history combined. But I think my last question, which theme song do you prefer? Do you prefer Jane or Where's My Mind?
Ooh. Jane. Once you hear that little...
Dun, 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 the little,
yeah, that... Like, yeah, no. The piano notes? Is that a piano note?
Yeah,
once you hear that, the screen starts to go white and you see the orange lights coming on.
It's like the piano guitars, yeah.
Like, my heart just gets so like, yes, finally, he's back. Like, every time I hear that, every time I see it, like, yeah, I just love Orange Cassidy on my screen. Give me more.
Also, I will say I agree with you. One of my favorite entrances, even using that song, was the Mr. Bean entrance from All Out 2024.
Yes!
Where he lays out in the alley, the same exact alley, and has the exact same shot-for-shot remake of the Mr. Bean intro, because as a kid growing up, I watched Mr. Bean with my grandfather, so it's always special to me. And he fits that same motif and gimmick. But I absolutely love Orange Cassidy, and I also want to invite everyone to stick around at the end of this episode in the next few minutes, because we had some of our followers on our Facebook page, thank you so much, sending some pictures of what Orange Cassidy means to them cosplaying, some people with some special tattoos, really showing the impact that Orange Cassidy had on a fan base. So I think my final thoughts will be, I love Orange Cassidy. I'm glad he tried. So what about you? What are your final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Whatever. I think that there's a reason he's the PWI 2020 most popular wrestler.
I agree. So I think without further ado, I think we're going to wrap up this episode. So remember, always keep the kayfabe.
Whatever.
It's great, but I am glad that I am able to give a gift of laziness to the wrestling fans, because we've all been in that situation where it's like, hey, you want to come to this Halloween party or costume party, and it's in 2 hours, and you're like, oh, I guess I'll get my jean jacket, jeans, I have an Orange Cassidy t-shirt and some sunglasses, and then there you go, you have a Halloween costume. And I feel like people can come to wrestling shows like, oh, last minute, I want to dress up as somebody, I'll just do Orange Cassidy, it's easy. So I'm glad I'm able to do that for the fans.